Hello, and welcome to Userful's on-demand webinar about Office video walls. Over the next few minutes, we're going to be talking about the various use cases for Office video walls and about how Userful makes those simple and cost-effective to deploy. We'll talk about dashboards, meeting rooms, team collaboration, as well as video walls for lobby and other types of Office use case. First, a little bit about Userful and how it works. Userful is a video wall solution that makes it simple and cost-effective to deploy high-performance video walls. Userful takes a standard PC and turns it into a high-end video wall controller that allows you to display multiple sources on different portions of the video wall, interact with them, and control them. You can do amazing things with synchronized displays with a very simple user interface, which I'll show you very shortly. A few of the basics. Userful supports one or more video walls, up to 100 screens in fact, from one PC. You can use Userful to support digital displays throughout your office building. If you've got multiple offices, you centrally control them through the cloud. And I'll be giving you a tour of the cloud management interface and show you how you do that in a moment as well. You can use these video walls and displays to show dashboards. You can use them to collaborate, show desktops, have your team interact and display different information for team decision-making and collaboration. You can get content from just about any source, from the network, full-screen browser. You can pull desktops in through desktop capture, screen capture, and much, much more. We've got various presets available that allow you to set up different video wall layouts and configurations, have the system remember them, and then recall them at the touch of a button. So you can set up multiple sources in different layouts and adjust them based on the conversation that your team's having or based on the needs of your office at that time. You can use a tablet or a desktop to control the mouse and keyboard of a video wall or of a display or of a zone within a video wall. And it's all centrally configured and managed through the browser. We do have an API for more advanced control as well, which is something that might be of interest. This next slide explains a bit about how it works. You can see at the center of the diagram we've got a PC. A couple of things to emphasize. Userful uses standard PCs. This does a lot to reduce the cost of the video wall. We don't use any proprietary hardware. This is a standard off-the-shelf PC. You install Userful software on that. Another point here, this isn't an app that sits on top of Windows. This is everything you need all ready to go. It includes the operating system. It essentially turns that PC into a browser-managed appliance. We use the term appliance as a good metaphor because, like your fridge or your stove, it does one thing and does it well. We talk about it as browser-managed because you don't need to worry about the desktop itself. You manage it all through the browser. And again, I'm going to show you how that works in a moment. So that video wall controller or processor, it connects through the network to each of the displays. And as you can see on the right-hand side of the diagram, there's a small zero-client receiver at the end of each of those. So that connects through the network against standard network traffic here. It'll run off a gigabit, or in some cases a 10 gig network if you've got a particularly large video wall. But for almost all cases, it's a gigabit switch. And those zero clients connect HDMI to the displays and then through the Ethernet cable back to the switch. You can isolate that network traffic if in your office you want to have it isolated. You can have a dual NIC setup on the PC, allowing all of this to operate on a separate network from your office. You can see in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got the browser management there, and I'm going to again be walking you through that in a moment. And then at the bottom, the many different sources you can put on a Userful video wall. As I said at the beginning, there's almost nothing that you can't display on a video wall, and we'll show you how to do that as well. A few more words about the zero-client receivers. There's a variety of them that we work with. It's key to have an HDMI input-output to your display, and then these are about the size of a deck of cards. They don't have much else going on in them. I often refer to them as a network addressable video card because that's really all they do. There's no moving parts in here. There's no processor. There's no hard drive. There's no memory. There's no fan. It is really just just outputs pixels and connects back through the network. The PC itself does all the heavy lifting. Now, a few different things specifically about Userful and how it works. As I said at the beginning, we can do up to 100 screens from a single PC. Of course, you can do smaller video walls as well. and you can do individual screens also, all running off one PC. And if you've got a particular use case in mind for a number of displays or a number of video walls, contact your Userful representative about what kind of PC it will require to run that. Next, dashboards for executives. Now, this is the first Office-specific use case that we're going to look at. Information is the lifeblood of every organization today. We've got information at our fingertips from many different sources, but in this great sea of data, it's important that we're all able to focus on the key things. So for executives, they're going to want a variety of information up on a video wall for display for themselves, for anybody that steps into the office so they can discuss them. So what Userful does is makes it easy to have a video wall in an executive's office that is at his or her fingertips. And so they can control what needs to be done, what's on that display, and how it works. So you can, for example, put dashboards up there, but you could also put a desktop up there. You can put PowerPoints and presentations up there. You can put just about anything you need to up onto that video wall. It can be displaying live streaming content, or it can be displaying key information from a variety of sources. In this image, we've got one dashboard across the entire video wall, but you can, of course, break it up in different interesting ways to have different zones within the video wall. I'm going to talk about that next. There's three essential ways Userful allows you to break a video wall up. One is into zones. Zones are individual displays within a video wall. The next is picture-in-picture. So that is one source on the background and then another source sitting in a window on top of it. And so you can see that illustrated on the second image. And then the third image is multi-window. This is much like the ones above, except it breaks it across bezel lines. So instead of having one overlay the other, as in picture-in-picture, this is split like zones, but it's not restricted within the bezels. And so again, if you think back to our example of an executive office, they might want to be able to pull in different pieces of content, different dashboards, display different desktops onto different zones, or using multi-window display them in different ways. So this gives great flexibility in terms of what's being shown. So you can imagine a scenario where certain dashboards are being displayed up there, but you also want the ability to put a PowerPoint up there, share a desktop, that kind of thing. And this, of course, opens up great collaborative possibility, and we're going to start talking about that as well, how a video wall can be used to improve team collaboration. Preset Switcher is a key feature when we talk about this, because what Preset Switcher allows you to do is set up all the different configurations you might need and switch them back and forth. And so you can see at the bottom in this illustration, we start out with 4 different zones being used, and then it switches over to the video conference being displayed on as the main source across all 4 screens, and yet one dashboard is kept up in a picture-in-picture scenario. So that gives you an idea of the kind of flexibility that Userful offers to go at the touch of a button from one preset to the next and switch what you're looking at and how the screens are being used. So again, ideal for any scenario where collaboration is important, but also if you think back to that executive's office, if he or she wants to be able to change what's on the video wall or a portion of the video wall, you can preset all the different options and switch them at the touch of a button. So you could, for example, have your desktop as one of those presets across all 4 screens. You want to share what's on your desktop, you just make a quick switch, and suddenly it's showing your desktop, and you're able to share your desktop, hit another switch, and it goes back to those dashboards that you had displayed previously. I talked about team collaboration. I want to just touch on that a little bit with this slide about meeting rooms, conference rooms, huddle rooms. All of those are ideal scenarios for a video wall where you're going to want to be using it in many different ways. Team collaboration is vital today, and we've got different ideas. Having a shared space where people are able to share their desktop, share different information, control what's on that video wall, and everyone can get a shared understanding of key pieces of information. This is also, of course, a way to ensure that everyone stays on task instead of everyone staring at their own desktop, which, you know, as any manager might tell you, you're never really sure what they're looking at. Everyone's looking at the information that's on the video wall, focused on that, not distracted by email, messages, other work that's on their laptops. So this is a way to ensure that your team's got a shared understanding of any issues, and you can discuss any key initiatives, decisions that need to be made based on that data. In this slide, I give the example of being able to quickly move from displaying a laptop on the video wall to then also plugging in a second laptop and having each of them displayed at the same time on different zones in the video wall. And then maybe you pull up a slide deck on a third zone and then still another to display a dashboard from another source. So that flexibility to be able to show multiple pieces of information or different sources of information at the same time is vital. Another feature I wanted to touch on is about interactivity. So if you pull up a full-screen browser on a video wall, you also want to be able to control it. Many dashboards, of course, are delivered through a browser these days, and you might want to be able to, select, change, reconfigure the, or even scroll down on the video wall, and you do that through the interactive viewer feature. So that allows you from a desktop, from a tablet, from a smartphone, to take control of the mouse and keyboard of a video wall, a display, or a zone within a video wall. And so you can see in this illustration, what we've got on the bottom is not the video wall displaying the desktop's content. It is rather the person at the desktop there being able to control the mouse and keyboard of that zone in both of those illustrations. So this is a key feature. We've got lots more about all these features on our website, and so certainly come to userful.com and learn more about any one of these individual features. A few other important use cases for video walls and displays within the office. One is dashboards throughout the office. Again, we talked about the importance of information keeping your team up to speed. Every organization is looking to make the most of its team, and in order for the team to be effective today, it's important for them to understand key performance indicators within the business and other things that will affect their work. Userful allows you to display the same dashboard throughout the building or adjust the dashboards as needed. So you centrally control everything, one PC driving multiple video walls and displays throughout an office. So you can have displays in hallways, corridors, team areas, anywhere you want, and centrally control them. So rather than saying, okay, in the conference room, we're going to have a video wall that's interactive and people are able to use it, you'd say, okay, some of these displays are always going to show our key corporate KPIs, and those are available for everyone to see, whether that's sales numbers, whether that's social media mentions, whether that's the weather because of deliveries, or whether it's number of support cases. You choose what you want to display, and you can make sure that your team's always aware of what's happening. Many of these features, of course, are also used in control rooms of various kinds, and one of the control rooms that we often find in the corporate world is a network operations center, or other type of control rooms as well, of course. And so we've got an illustrated slide here. If you've got advanced requirements around collaboration, data visualization for control rooms, again, Userful can handle this also. So whether you're using a video wall for a meeting room, for an executive suite, or for a control room, we have all the tools that are required for that, as well, of course, as video walls for your office lobby. You never get a second chance to make a first impression, and the power that a video wall offers in terms of a first impression is very exciting. You can, for example, do an artistic style video wall. You can kind of see the illustration here where you've got sort of angled displays. You can do all sorts of things, from overlapping displays to angled displays to mixes of display type and size, in order to create a truly unique video wall that speaks to your brand and to your organization. You can also empower the person at the front desk to be able to change the content on that video wall from presets that your administrator creates based on what's happening through the day. So depending on who's coming to the office, you might put up a welcome message, or you might put up a traffic report as people begin to head home for their evening commute. Whatever you decide to do in terms of content can be set through presets, which the office admin or receptionist is able to change from a click of the mouse or a touch on a phone. I mentioned a bit about artistic video walls being a great way to enhance the look and feel of your lobby and engage your customers when they come through the front doors. Here are some examples from one of the templates that's available on userful.com for types of artistic video wall that you might think about. And again, we're able to do extraordinarily flexible things with these artistic video walls. So if you've got a project in mind, do come to us here at Userful and discuss your requirements. I mentioned here that everything was managed through a browser. And so what I want to do now is take a moment to show you how all of that works. I'm going to take you over to our control center and walk you through setting up and managing a video wall. So here we are at the Userful Control Center, and you can see we've got many different displays represented here. Let me just walk you through this interface and how it works. In the center, you can see we've got numbered displays. Some of these are individual displays, some of them are part of a video wall. To the left of that, you've got the content that's available, the sources that can be put onto that video wall. And then to the left of that, you've got the settings. Let me walk you very simply through how a video wall is set up and configured. I've got a 4-screen video wall here, a 3-screen video wall, and a kind of artistic video wall here. I'm going to click on the 4-screen video wall. And here you can see I can calibrate the video wall, and that's the tool you use to set up and configure the video wall when you're initially setting it up. These numbers correspond to numbers on the displays, and I click show IDs. They will display that number on the displays themselves. You can add rows of displays and columns. You can rotate them, so 90 degrees, 180 degrees. You can zoom in and out as needed. There's a tool to set up the spacing, and so you can adjust the bezel correction here for the padding between the displays. There's color calibration here available as well. Here's also how you'd switch to artistic if you're creating a video wall that's got different angled displays. Okay, I'm going to close out of that, and I'm going to open it again, but show you a different interface this time, and that is the zones on it. So you can set up different zones within the video wall. And we talked, remember, about zones, about picture-in-picture, about multi-window. All those allow you to set up different configurations. And so, for example, I create more zones by just adding zones to it, and then I can create and I can tell it which screens are included in that zone by graying out the other ones. So now I've created 2 extra zones. And you can see I've got these screens now down here. So the 2 dark screens would play content, and the 2 grayed out screens will not. And so I can move this to 2 different content sources, so storefront signage and check-in kiosk. And then I can click apply, and we can show different content on each of those. One of the things I wanted to do is change the settings to empower a few more of the remote control settings for source switch or preset switch. I'm just going to turn these all on, and I'll show you how we create multiple different layouts and save them to be invoked later by someone at the touch of a button. So this is what allows you to, for example, show different configurations on your video wall and switch back and forth with them at the touch of a button. So instead of clicking apply, I now click save as. So everything you see laid out here, which video walls are playing which pieces of content, is saved as a preset. And I'll click Save As, and I'm just going to name that preset 1, very simple. And now I can change things. For example, I'm going to change this screen and have it play this content. I'm going to change this screen and have it play this source. I'm just moving things around, and you can see they come up in yellow as I do that. I'm going to move this video wall to here as well. I'm going to move this video wall down to here. And everything that's changed is now yellow. And what I do again is save this as a preset. I'm going to call this preset 2. And now anybody you give permission to can now go to a phone or to a desktop and switch between preset 1 and preset 2. And that will change what content is being played, because you can see now these screens are under a different piece of content, these content pieces on the left-hand side. So that's what allows you to switch a video wall back and forth from being used perhaps to display someone's desktop to being used to display a dashboard. And those presets can all be set up by an administrator. Preset, of course, make it very easy to switch and change them on the fly. One of the things I always like to impress upon people is how simple and easy this is to use. It's drag and drop as easy as you can get. And adding new content sources is simple as well. I'm going to click on New Source, and then I'll select the name. And I'm just going to call this Browser. Oh, spelled it wrong. And now I'm going to choose Web Browser, and I can select Chrome or Firefox. Just select a kiosk so it's a full screen. I can choose the URL that it's going to be. And now, obviously, if there's a dashboard there, I can put in the correct URL. And now remember, I'm able to control the mouse and keyboard at a later date. So if I do have to put in credentials in order to access that URL, we can do that as well. And I can click here to retain browser changes across sessions, which means, yes, it will be able to remember what I typed in as my password. And so I click OK. Now browser appears down here, and I can drag and drop a video wall down to play on it. And now as soon as I click apply or I click save as, that will then take effect. So very easy to create new content sources and juggle them around. There's a variety of ways to put a desktop up onto a Userful video wall. We do have a software capture option, which allows you to have a piece of software running on your laptop or desktop and use that to share the content there. We do also have an HDMI capture that's real time and high performance up to 4K. These are useful in different scenarios. For example, the HDMI capture allows someone to just step in off the street, a guest perhaps, who can then plug their laptop in and display the content on the video wall. Whereas a software capture is ideal when you've got many different people on your team, each at different times, wanting to be able to share the contents of their desktops. I talked earlier about cloud management. I want to step back to the slides just to share with you a bit more about cloud management and how that works with Userful. Cloud management is an important part of the solution if you've got multiple sites. I should first of all say that Userful operates within the local area network with or without an internet connection. But if you have an internet connection from that PC, it offers you some more advanced features for managing that PC and your screens remotely. So as you can see in this slide, if you've got deployments all around the world and want to centrally manage them, each of those PCs calls back to Userful's server, and then you're able also to call into the server and through that interact with your displays in real time. So this gets through the firewall in that way by that PC making its outbound connection to our server on Amazon Web Services. So whether you're controlling digital signage deployment or control room deployment or an office video wall deployment, you're able to centrally manage everything. Again, though, if you don't want your video wall to have an internet connection, that's not required for all the things that we've been discussing, but it is required, of course, if you want to manage it through the cloud. So you get a cloud management login, and then you can see all of the PCs. In fact, let me just switch back over and I'll show you how all this works from a browser, and you can see all of the PCs that you've got available. I've just got 2 here, but in this interface, you'd see all of those PCs, and then you're able to interact with them in real time. So you can do things like go to the control center of that machine. You can use it to use a source switcher. So for example, I'm able through this to remotely interact with that video wall in real time and click on different pieces of content and change what's being displayed on that video wall. Interactive viewer can also be done through the cloud, preset switcher. You can also schedule events through this. So for example, in the example I was giving earlier where you've got a lobby video wall and you perhaps have 10 sites across the country and you want to centrally control what is displayed on those video walls and the messaging you're delivering to your customers as they step into your office, you can do that through this, and you can schedule those content changes. So at a certain time, this is what happens. You can also, of course, upload the content from here to be pushed out to all of those deployments on your 10 sites and your 10 offices. So great tool for central management of your video wall and for remotely interacting with your displays. And that, folks, takes us to the end of what we wanted to talk about today. So thank you for your time. Do come to userful.com. There's lots of great resources about video walls there. We also have pricing available. Userful is a cost-effective way to deploy an advanced, powerful, flexible, and featureful video wall. And we do it in a simple way, as I hope you've seen here. But we're proud enough about our pricing that we make it available online. So just go to userful.com/pricing, and you can get pricing for your particular deployment. It'll ask you a couple questions about what you're going to deploy, and it will give you the pricing for it. We're also happy to chat anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone number's here on this slide, as is our email. Reach out to us. We're looking forward to helping you with your next video wall project.